A Northern Alliance has been formed in Malawi, so we can officially declare that the games have begun. 4 political titans and their respective political parties have come together ahead of the September 2025 elections. Enoch Chihana, a 4th president, widely recognized for carrying the torch of Malawi's democracy movement and fighting for political inclusivity. Khumbo Kachali, former vice president and leader of the Freedom Party, known for his political deal-making and outspoken stance on public health and governance. Madhlopa, president of the Solidarity Alliance, a firebrand activist known for his tough anti-corruption rhetoric and grassroots appeal. And finally, Frank Mwenifumbo, president of the National Development Party, best known for pushing bold economic reforms and championing developments in Malawi's north. A few weeks ago, we covered the rumors of an alliance between UTM, AFORD, and UDF. We can now be certain that the proposed coalition, though logical on paper, has not materialized. However, the formal confirmation of this new Northern Alliance is now official. The political chessboard in Malawi has shifted again, and this time from the country's most unpredictable region, the north. So, in this video, I'll attempt to answer some of the questions that all of us are asking, such as, what kind of influence can this alliance really bring? How much power does this Northern Alliance have? And can they really change the game and results of the upcoming presidential elections? Who will lead the alliance? So many questions. Let's get right into it. My name is Brendan and this is M-dubz Report. Mwadzuka bwanji, mwaswera bwanji, madzulo abwino. So let's start with the question of what kind of power and influence this alliance can actually bring. To understand the power of this alliance, we must first look at voter behavior and electoral history. In past elections, none of these parties had any significant impact on their own. Their presidential vote shares were minimal when they stood solo. And even if they were involved in coalitions, they usually would have participated as minor or junior partners. So why does this Northern Alliance matter now? Individually, their overall impact on the elections would have been deemed to be negligent. But together, that's where the power lies. This coalition reflects a strategic decision and gameplay in 3 ways. Number 1, consolidate regional support. Number 2, have a unified messaging. And number 3, flip the North from a battleground to a voting stronghold. So, as a voting bloc, they cannot be ignored. You cannot win significantly without their endorsement. But here's the catch. The North is divided and unpredictable. Northern voters have time and again supported presidential candidates from other regions, based not on ethnicity but on manifestos, leadership style, and perceived national vision. From 2009 to 2014, DPP dominated the northern region across both presidential and parliamentary elections. In 2009, Bingwa Mutharika achieved a dominant performance across the north, with over 90% support in districts like Nzimba and Mwanza. At the time, this was a shock as the people didn't vote with the expected traditional regional loyalties. But in 2019, the late Saulos Klaus Chilima and UTM led the northern vote in the first presidential elections by gaining significant support in urban centers like Zuzu and among young and middle-class voters. Let's not forget that UTM broke away from DPP, which had previously dominated the north during Bingo's time. However, the northern voters chose to focus on who they wanted to vote for and the manifestos that he presented. This is why it is difficult for any individual party or even an alliance to claim right now that the North is theirs. No one can predict the outcome right now. And it will all boil down to if the candidate can convince them on what they will do and if they will buy it or not. One thing is for sure, when the northern region votes, it is usually together, and there is usually a regional consensus. So, how much power does this northern region really have? And can they really change the game and the result of the upcoming 2025 presidential elections? It's one thing to announce an alliance and set up a rally, but this does not guarantee a regional sweep. What it does suggest is a willingness to unify fractured bases, which could prove powerful if leveraged wisely. They also need to work out if this unity can really put a significant dent into the popularity of the other parties that have previously prevailed in the North for the past 2 decades. They also need to ask themselves if this alliance actually strengthens that stronghold, or if it is actually breaking it by fracturing the voting blocks into smaller voting blocks. Let's look into the numbers. The northern region historically contributes a smaller share of total registered voters compared to the central and southern regions. As of the latest registration data, the region accounts for just over 13% of the national voter pool. 13% can seem like a small number in general, but with the 50% plus 1 requirement, 13% can make or break the elections. And by now, we all know that with the way Malawi is right now, no single region can win the presidency alone. Coalitions are not optional, they're essential. This means that the Northern Alliance can actually become a kingmaker in this presidential election. If the remaining major players, be it MCP, UTM, DPP or UDF, fail to reach the threshold, the Northern Bloc could tip the balance. What would be the price of that support? Will the Northern Alliance need to negotiate the position of Vice President using their voting bloc as leverage and on someone else's ticket? Let's remember that the new regulations require the running mates to be chosen from the first and initial elections and cannot be changed during reruns. So, if this is indeed the strategy of the Northern Alliance, negotiations need to start now, sooner than later. So that leads us to the key question: who will lead the Northern Alliance? Together, all the 4 main characters and leaders of this alliance offer a balanced mix of experience, reform credentials, grassroots mobilization, and modernization. Let's look at Enoch Chihana, the current president of AFORD. He is recognized for continuing the legacy of his father Khumbo Kachali by promoting democracy and political unity in Malawi. He is popular and is usually included in political discussions. He is known to have said, "I am an honest man and will never be silenced from speaking the truth." Is this true? Next is Khumbo Kachali, the leader of the Freedom Party and former vice president of Malawi under Joyce Banda's presidency. He was the second vice president to come from the northern region of Malawi. He's a well-educated and accomplished man who served in various roles in the government. Former Vice President of the Malawi Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Minister of Industry, Science and Technology, Deputy Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, Minister of Youth Development and Sports. From 2008 until 2009, he was the Minister of Health. Also bear in mind that he was once a former member of both UDF and DPP, where he held leadership positions. Can he be trusted to remain loyal to this alliance? Next, we look at Frank Mwenifumbo, president of the National Development Party. Known for his advocacy for economic empowerment and development in Malawi's northern region, he is a former Deputy Minister of Health and has also moved from one party to the other. He has been a member of DPP, AFORD, UTM, and now NDP. With other heavy hitters in this coalition, will his role and contribution be significant? Lastly, we have Victor Madhlopa, president of the Solidarity Alliance. He is described as a seasoned medical professional who is known for his grassroots mobilization and strong stance on social justice and anti-corruption. He has been quoted to say that for years he has healed bodies, but now wants to heal the soul of the nation. I quote, "Bad leadership is a disease that has plagued us for too long, and I am here to provide the cure." Well, we wish him all the best with that. Let's wrap this up. The North has long been Malawi's political wildcard. This alliance proves one thing: it will not be left out of the 2025 conversation. But can 4 leaders with different styles, goals, and constituencies truly unite under one banner? And will the rest of Malawi be ready to back a president from the north? One thing is certain: this election is no longer predictable. If you find this video educational, consider subscribing to this channel. I have been your host Brendan from M-dubz Report. Zikomo.